Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Mr. Eisenberg, you were asked earlier if you thought that this bill improved air quality, and you said you weren't sure that that was the purpose of the bill, but I would submit to you that it may be part of the purpose of the bill. It may not have been the primary purpose of the bill. And here's the reasoning. I think Mr. Scalise hit on it earlier, that I think that this does actually work to improve air quality. You indicated in your prior testimony that while nobody wanted to be named, that you had members of your organization who had not opened up facilities or had stopped working on a project because of the length of time and the fact that they weren't certain what was going to happen with the permitting process through the EPA because of the length of time and the uncertainties caused by the current system. And what we know is, according to a NASA study, it takes 10 days for the air to get from the middle of the Gobi Desert to the eastern shore of Virginia. And when you're talking about air, we all share the same air. So either that company chooses for regulatory purposes to open up their facility in another country, which doesn't have the standards that we have, or they choose to let their competitors in another country produce the product that they could have produced in the United States, creating jobs for American citizens, and at the same time those countries don't have the regulations that we have in existence in our country, and the delay in the regulatory process thus means that that product, whether it's a styrofoam cup or some big piece of equipment, is going to be made in some other country as opposed to being made in the United States. Thus, we have damaged the air of the world, particularly the air in the Northern Hemisphere, if it goes into the Northern Hemisphere, which then directly impacts the air quality in the United States. With that reasoning in line, wouldn't you agree then that this bill, by making the process easier and encouraging manufacturing in the United States where we do care about our air quality, actually does improve air quality? Would you agree with me on that?
I would, and thank you for pointing that out. And frankly, if EPA does the job that Congress would be requiring in this bill, then the permits are issued quickly and done at the levels that the statute would require, and so yeah, it would absolutely improve air quality.
Yeah, and I think that everyone would agree. And Ms. Gershman, if I understood your testimony earlier, your folks are doing the best that they can with the state-of-the-art technology. They don't want to be out here dumping things into the air. They're trying to do the state-of-the-art, what is currently available, and they just need to know what the regulations are going to be, and it's that uncertainty which leads them to have frustration and maybe even as well look at perhaps using another country or allowing a competitor to produce the product. Is that also true?
Yes, that's correct. We're already doing the state of the art. We're taking the best available technologies and installing them on our new facilities. And
whenever there are delays, that can also create costs which don't help us create new jobs. It creates a negative impact on jobs.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't know who might want to touch on this, maybe Mr. Eisenberg, because I was talking with some people this morning, and we went back to my old Boiler Act bill that I had in a few years back, and they were lamenting particularly the timelines not having been passed because of the uncertainty. Just like this bill, that bill tried to deal with some of the uncertainties, and they were talking about the fact that regulations came out in 2004, and a lot of companies started, because they had a short time period, they started implementing and spent millions and millions of dollars complying with the 2004 regs. Then those got overturned in court, and the EPA had to come up with new regs, and now they're spending millions and millions of dollars to do things. And we heard testimony about that even from universities, not just always manufacturers that get hit by this, but the universities got hit by this. They spent the money to comply, then found out they weren't in compliance, and that creates a problem as well, does it not?
It absolutely does.
And so what we're trying to do here is there's a balance, and I appreciate Mr. O'Mara working with us on that balance, and all of you all trying to find that balance. We all want clean air. We all want clean water. What we have to do is try to figure out a way that we can have some certainty for those people who are creating the jobs, and at the same time make sure that we're moving forward to make our country the best that it can be. But that does not mean that we have to destroy jobs in the process. Wouldn't you agree with that, Mr. Weiss? And I do appreciate it. Thank you all so much for being here today and for your testimony today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Cassidy, you're up next, or do you prefer that I go to Mr. Terry?